And if we think, thirdly, about England's relationship with the continental powers, both France and the Netherlands spent Elizabeth's reign having religious civil wars. And in some ways that was very disturbing for those managing English policy. English foreign policy had been comparatively straightforward when continental politics was a matter of rivalry between the Valois kings of France and the Habsburg rulers of Spain and the Netherlands, and England could manoeuvre between the two of them. Now, each of those great powers was challenged and in some ways crumbling by religious division within its own society, its own state. And the English were drawn to intervene to help the Protestant rebels against the French crown in France, and to help the Protestant rebels in the Netherlands against the Habsburg rulers of the Netherlands. And indeed, it's recently been shown that even when the English government wasn't officially engaged in those struggles, large numbers of English volunteers were raised by English Protestant noblemen, funded by English Protestant merchants, and sent across to fight in France or the Netherlands. So, in some ways, Elizabethan foreign policy was conditioned by the English Reformation, and with that came a hostility to Spain, which had been one of England's leading allies, but was increasingly seen as the major political and military power behind the attempt to wipe out European Protestantism. And that was a hostility which went onwards into many people's attitudes in the 17th century, when English national identity was increasingly bound up with Protestantism, when the 17th of November, Queen Elizabeth's accession day, became a great national festival to celebrate England's identification with the Protestant cause, inevitably tied up too, of course, with the 5th of November, Gunpowder Treason Day, once the Gunpowder Plot had happened in 1605. And so the impact of the Reformation on England's relationship with her neighbours cast a very long shadow. One might even suggest that it cast a longer shadow still, because the inspiration of English Protestant anti-Spanish adventurers to go and attack the Spanish Empire and set up rival English colonies and English trading routes. The East India Company, for example, set up at the end of Elizabeth's reign, the Virginia colony set up in Elizabeth's reign and then more effectively established under James I, and so on. It was those ventures which built towards the development of an English and eventually a British Empire. So in many ways, the direction that the Reformation set England on in her relations with her neighbours was a direction which would cover, which would help to determine the future of English and British relationships with the wider world.